Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strompcast. We're on episode 201. Last week was episode 200. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you go do that. Me, Danny, and Richard draft our five-a-side teams and also pick our best sporting kits. But of course, we move on to the present, not the past. And we've got a very good podcast for you today. But before I get ahead of myself, let me introduce my guests. First of all, we've got Chris. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. Just buying my time here before Phillies Game 7 tonight. Excited and nervous about that. Ready for another European tie. Feels like we've had we've had the Cup game, but we had the international break before. The Cup game, it was a real game, but it doesn't really get you too excited to be playing an amateur club.
You were riled up to play Alvalade in Moscow.
Yeah, so I'm excited to the return of more normally scheduled programming, you could say.
Yeah, most definitely. Next up, we got Richard. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. We're coming off a nice cup win, which is always good. Coming out of the international break, it was a little close to start that game, but they pulled through in the end. We've got European games coming up. We've got just a few weeks out from a derby game as well, now that I'm thinking of it. But the team's rolling on, which is good.
Yeah, most definitely. And we have got Danny here with us, but I think he might have just disconnected for a bit, so he should be hopefully back shortly. And of course, you can follow me there as well. But most importantly, make sure you follow all things Alvalade there. You can follow him down the bottom. And speak of the devil, there is Danny Saldani there. If you want to give him a follow as well. How you doing today, man?
Good, Brody. Fucking internet just crashed for a little bit there, but
hate to see it.
But yeah, man,
Happens.
Back as always. Big Sporting win. I'm reverting my fantasy season, except for my big boy league. I'm 2-5, and I've outscored everybody. But in my keeper league, I'm 6-1, going strong. About to trade away first round draft picks for some solid players. But anyways, enough about me and being a fantasy football god. Let's get back to what really matters in life.
Yeah, and that is, of course, the game in Taça we had against Alvalade e Mascavide, and I'll read the lineup as follows. It was a 3-1.
No goal point.
No goal point. No
Taça.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately. So we're stuck with ESPN.
They don't even have a logo, man.
Jesus.
Just stop.
In goal was Franco Israel. Centre backs were returning Luis Neto, and also returning Jerry St. Just, who managed to last 80 minutes before coming off. Ivan Fresneda, who unfortunately gave away the penalty, Matheus Reis, Bragança, Dario Sugo, Pedro Gonçalves, Marcus Edwards, Trincão, Paulinho. Off the bench came Inacio, Nuno Santos, Hulmand, Jenny, and Ricardo Esgaio. Richard, I'll start off with you. What were your overall thoughts on the game?
About as disaster of a start as you could have asked for. 5 minutes in, they give up a penalty. It was a bit of a weird penalty, I'm not going to lie. It was given on the last they scored. They got better as the game went on. They should have. The scoreline doesn't reflect what the scoreline could have been. I think had we buried more of the chances, they could have probably won by another 2 or 3 goals minimum. One goal came right at the end. I thought Jenny looked pretty good this game. I thought he looked really, really good. That fucking Trincão jabroni though, he pissed me off a little bit. Friggin', what's he doing?
It's been a bad. I think it's fair to say it's just been a bad start to the season.
My dude looked fucking lost.
I think he was injured coming into it, which didn't help. Well, allegedly, they say he was injured.
Allegedly, we don't know for sure, but yeah, did not look.
Let's go
great.
with that.
He had his moments though too, but I'm with you. It's overall disappointing, but he had his moments.
Yeah, he had 1 or 2 moments. Try to think who else there. I thought Bragança looked okay. I don't think he looked bad. It was kind of his first real start. Who else stood out? There wasn't really a lot of standouts this game for me personally. Glad we got the win. There's one guy who played well that I'm forgetting. Is
Asugo, maybe.
Asugo looked okay.
Looked okay, yeah.
It's not Asugo. It's somebody else. Oh, Fresneda did not look great in the first half.
I've really yet to see Fresneda look great.
He got cooked. Can you pull up the lineups again, actually, Sam? That'll refresh my memory.
It was probably Edwards. Edwards had a really good game.
Edwards, thank you. It was Marcus Edwards, looked really good. That was one of his better games, I thought, in this young season. And also shout out to St. Juice. I thought he had an okay game. 80 minutes, so pretty good. We didn't expect to play in this game actually when we were on the last couple of shows. So very pleasant surprise that he got any minutes. Even bigger surprise and happier surprise that he played as many minutes as he did. So good on him. Paulinho looked fine. Could have probably had a goal. I think the big letdown for me was Trincao. This Rudy Poo, he pissed me off this game. He was not good. Israel was Israel. There wasn't really much for him to really contend with. He looked fine when called upon, but not much, not enough of a sample size to really deduce anything worthwhile from him.
Went on the right side on the penalty. I thought he was going to save that for a second.
He wasn't far. I'll give him credit. He wasn't far off from that penalty. I think if he's like a half step, a third of a step quicker, he probably gets a piece of it and probably tips it off the post or tips it away.
I can imagine Adon like either staying in place or going like the wrong fucking way anyway. So
even if Adon went the right way, he would have moved in like at like 0.75 speed.
I mean,
it would have been a little bit slower.
He saved a few penalties at the Emirates. To be fair to the
he did.
I'll say a few. He saved one.
He saved one. Yeah. He came close. He came close on one or two though. I think there was one he got a piece of. But yeah, Israel looked fine when called upon. Much needed rest for guys like Kawach. Like it was nice to see Luis Neto come in, get the start. My only kind of downside was Fresneda kind of getting cooked in the first half, specifically on that weird penalty, and then Trincao was really the letdown. Everybody else looked good, looked decent to good. I won't say anybody was outstanding outside of Marcus Edwards probably. And Katamo, I thought Katamo had a phenomenal game too.
Yeah. Most definitely. I'll go next. Don't want to piggyback too much what you said, but I thought Edwards was good up until the second half. He missed some absolute sitters. There was two I can remember that would pretty much all you have to do is hit it on goal, and he hit it wide and he hit it over.
There was one in the first half. I don't even know if he was the one that got the final touch, but like he was.
It was one of those.
He was
just
like in the
get
goal
it on the net.
Yeah. And the penalty they got, I think, was fair. I think Fresneda was really unlucky that he caught the guy, and I think it's just
because it's a bit of a 50-50 challenge, kind of.
Yeah, he goes. There's no intention to get to the player 100%. He goes for the ball, but unfortunately, just too slow. Yeah. It was really good work from the player from Olivares. But if you look at the team as well, the one thing I thought was missing was more young players. I think there's a good opportunity to get some of the youngsters from the B teams come in. Alfonso Moreira is a good one. You've got Rodrigo Ribeiro still hasn't got a lot of burn. There are some guys that I think really shouldn't have played at all this game. Hjulmand, I think, should have just sat on the bench the whole time. And I guess that's
at least he kept Gyökeres on the bench the whole time.
Yeah, I do wonder too. Say if because it had been such a close game for a lot of it and they were down, that might have factored into I want to get the experience because I don't think he wants to have a very early cutbacks at a second.
My take is that teams rotate like less in games like this than they used to.
Yeah.
Just across the board. It's not just sporting. I just feel like there's less rotation. There's increased pressure on all the teams. Like crashing out right now is just it's not a good look for anyone, right? Yeah.
I don't think he wants to have
all of the managers of the big clubs are under different pressures for different reasons, I would say. And it's not what you need right now, you know?
Yeah. I don't think he wants to have a second year in a row where he has a very early cutback like in the first goal. Like the first season with Amorim, they went to the round of 16, got shithoused by Marítimo. The year after, they lose to Porto on aggregate in the semis. But then last year, they're out in like the first time of asking. So I think he didn't want to have that stink.
We lost to Alverca and Varzim in this round in the last 4 years.
Few years, yeah. Varzim and Alverca was the Kaiser Ball year, I think. The second Kaiser Ball year.
I think it was 2021?
2019. That was 2019. And I think that might have been just.
It was the year after
Kaiser
we won the
Taça.
Taça.
I think by that point, I think that was Silas ball. I want to say.
Yeah. Oh, it might have. I don't know. It was early in the season.
Bruno was definitely in that team.
Bruno was in that team.
Yeah, that was Bruno. That was again. It was the exact same stage. But yeah, we were coming in as the defending Taça winners, Taça champions, We were out to I think Alversa that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
One guy who I thought was awful was Pedro Gonçalves against a fifth division team. Like I think all of the players should be playing well against a fifth division team, but he was just awful. He just didn't do anything. When he did have stuff to do, he just didn't do anything well. And that, compared to like Jenny Katama when he come on, like Rich said, who absolutely stole the show and was fantastic, and even Edwards to an extent in the first half. Pedro Gonçalves just looks lost out there at the moment, and it's been the last few games where I've just sort of been like, when is his time coming to sit on the bench, and will it ever come? Because he can drop stinker after stinker and still be playing, whereas Vatawu got like what 18 minutes, and Aaron was like, no, too much. Like,
yeah, I was getting like no time. He scored a goal for Leicester the other day, if I'm not mistaken.
Made the team of the week.
Yeah, exactly.
The championship team of the week. So it looks like we might be getting that buy clause activated the way he's playing.
Yeah, and Trincao, I don't think he was as bad as you think he was, Richard. I think coming off an injury and I think he was been out for just over maybe like 3 or 4 weeks. To come back, is difficult. And I guess playing against a side like this, you're not really going to play to your full ability, because I guess they're going to try and. It's not like playing like a Maritimo or playing someone like that. It's a totally different environment, I suppose. But yeah, I was mostly impressed with Jenny Katama, like you said. I thought Luis Neto and St. Just, when called upon, and Matisse Race didn't have much to do, but when they did, they were very good. Israel was just didn't have anything to do, I don't think. But Asugu, I was impressed with apart from his first touch, which is terrible.
Not every time I might have a better first touch.
Yeah,
Feels kind of important.
I feel like that's the one thing like you should at least be able to have that down. It's like a first touch and a basic pass.
Yeah, people compare him to William Carvalho, obviously the number 14 as well, and it's just like
no.
William Carvalho's first touch was like fantastic, and
what are they called? The silk tank, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Asugo's the silk tank quite yet.
No, the velvet. He's not quite
tank,
at
that's what it is.
He's not quite at velvet tank levels yet. He's still got a ways to go, I think.
Yeah.
But other than that, Paulinho definitely should have scored at least 3. I think the scoreline is doesn't do the game justice. We had so many opportunities on goal, and we just could not finish him. And that's fair enough. Their goalkeeper did pretty well, I think. And then the other bit is just that we couldn't score our chances. Paulinho and Edwards mostly at fault there. I think they could have probably had maybe 2 or 3 each. But other than that, standard game. I did think when they scored we were going to lose, or we were going to go to like pen. I think it goes straight to penalties, doesn't it? Or does it go to extra time?
No, it's always extra time.
It might be extra time, but I'm not.
I think Taça Liga is when it goes straight to pens.
Because we did not look great in the first half. We just looked. It was like we didn't even want to play really. And then I think whatever Amram said in the treasure of half time seemed to. Well, I guess when Fresneda come off, I suppose, is when started to play well.
This was a good game for the Paulinho haters, I will say. I think Paulinho haters this was your game.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And I feel for Fresneda as well being pulled at 45 minutes. And I do find it weird how his agent came to the press the next day. Like, I think that's a story to watch out for. The press.
That was a little weird, yeah.
The press and Fresneda's agent versus Ruben Amorim. Because we know Ruben Amorim doesn't like these outspoken guys, let alone agents. So
what did he say? He was like, just wait. He's going to start cooking soon.
Something along those lines that he'd improve, yeah.
Yeah, he'd improve.
All right, I mean, we're all ready for it.
We're here. Wait, stand your ground. Let's see it.
Yeah, I think definitely one to watch out for. But Chris, what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, frustrating a bit. I did think it was kind of I'm looking for the right word, like the intro, I guess the start was just like oh man, here we go, for real, like this, we're really doing this.
Yeah.
I thought that we would probably eventually score, but like we never thrashed these teams. I feel like we're good for like 1 or 2 thrashings a year, and it is never it's never like the lower teams. It's like, yeah, we'll beat like Vizela in like April 5-0 or something.
Last year we beat Braga like 5-0.
Yeah, like there's a couple. We'll have a couple spankings in there, but like it's never the games that you expect. So I like really only thought that this is going to be like 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, something like that, They first like in like I think their goal was like in what, the 7th minute or something. Like
Yeah, it was
in the
quick.
5 minutes leading up to that, like they definitely did have like high energy, if nothing else. I thought that they could have even tried like a 22-yard shot from like right in front or like in the center, but the guy tried to play another ball. And they were like definitely like fired up. They got a corner, right? Like they're feeling themselves. They get the pen, they score the goal, and I was like, oh wow, like
We're fun.
But they just weren't quite good enough to keep that going. And we're unlucky. Fresneda, I think it was unlucky not to have a pen about the 30th minute. We eventually did get the first half pen, which was kind of soft, I'll be honest. It looks like a pen in real time, and the guy definitely doesn't get the ball, but like Edwards definitely makes the most of it. But yeah, at the same time, it's unlucky that because I mean, I think the shot's on target and the guy stops it with his arm. I mean, I think that should have been a pen. Yeah. So I guess 2 half pens equals a full pen, right? Edwards stepped up, buried it himself. I was also wondering who was going to take this. I thought maybe even like Braganza might take it or something, but I guess Edwards probably said I want to take it, and no one stopped him. Second half, I mean, it was pretty much one-way traffic. Could have been a lot more. Could have even had another one probably in that first half as well. We got the job done, but it wasn't really anything that inspired confidence. The third goal came very, very late. Great work by, I think it was Jenny. Jenny and Edwards, the lead up to the pen, Edwards cooks like 3 dudes, Meg's some guy. Like these are, it felt like that's like how something was going to happen, like a little individual brilliance, just to kind of like break through their line. They didn't embarrass themselves by any means, but it's not exactly the performance that makes me go like, let's go, like hell yeah. But it was enough, so can't really complain.
A win's a win.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny, what about you? What are your overall thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I feel bad for Fresneda too. I thought he did better. I commend him for not having a complete disaster after the penalty. It's a tough decision, that penalty. Like he's trying to clear it out, but fair enough. He gets the guy right, clear pan. But a little mistake. We'll see what happens from here. I mean, at least he's playing against. This is the team. These are the games that he should be starting. But if you're getting red cards, or not red cards, but if you're giving away penalties, pretty tough, right? Yeah, I mean, you guys said it, but Braganza, I think, was definitely the best player on the pitch. I found it interesting. We weren't playing 3 at the back either. So I mean, at least to start, we finished the game with 3 at the back, but at least to start, it was interesting to see the 4-3-3. St. Just looked decent, looked good. Didn't have much to do. I loved the overlaps. At least he's pushing, bombing forward and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else really to say. I mean, Marcus Edwards, he had on Jenny's goal, he like kind of fluffed that header. Luckily, it stayed in off the bar, But fair enough. I think with Pot, yeah, a horrible game from him too. He smashed it off the bar at one point. I think Braganza like chip passes it to him. He gets it on like the corner of the box, smashes it off the bar when it was still 1-0. Maybe that changes his confidence around. It seems like it's been one of those for Pot recently, which is kind of shit. But yeah, I think I'm with you, Sam. I think it's about time he hits the bench, at least for another game. We'll see if it's against Poland. I doubt it though. If he's playing against 3rd division teams, it only means that we're gonna ride him throughout, right? And yeah, like I said with Trincão, I thought he had his moments. I thought it's just tough with these games too. Like Sam was saying, like I feel like you don't have enough space out there. I also feel like it's also it's hard to say like how good you really are against these guys, right? Because they're very compact. It's a smaller pitch, and they're talent-wise, they're just not as good, right? So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Paulinho should have had a few goals, but yeah, it's just one of those games, I guess. But we'll see. We haven't. It hasn't. We haven't gotten our next opponent yet, right?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, right?
No, the draw will probably be I think within the next week or so, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll find that out relatively soon, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Christian,
mean,
by the way.
Could be Stubble, I believe I saw. Stubble's an
Stubble.
option, which would be a nice
Interesting.
little away day for the
I don't want Stu Ball, bro.
the greater Lisbon.
I
area
haven't
sporting
seen I
thing.
haven't seen Stu Ball in some years, and I'm glad because they always fucking beat
Yeah,
us.
they got
They
some nice
always,
hits
they
still.
always shit house.
And Dingle will come out of retirement just to beat us, bro.
just to fuck around.
Like,
I remember they beat us, and then Bruno Cabello called all the loans we had there back.
Yeah,
Ryan Gould.
Ryan Gould caught a stray there.
Yeah.
Ryan Gould, and was it Chico Giraldes, I think?
Yeah, it was
Geraldes
I think,
one
yeah.
for sure because he was on loan there for I think that was like a second loan there too.
Good times, man.
You called like 2 or 3 dudes on loan like the next day. I was like, "Fuck you guys."
I can't even remember what. I think they got a penalty. I think Adinho might have dived, and then I think that was it.
So long ago, I don't remember. Like we're talking minimum like 6 years ago now.
I want to say. I think that was the year of Alchet, maybe. I want to say, or maybe
Might have been 1 year before.
It might have been the year
Yeah.
before. It was definitely within the last like year and a half, 2 years of the BDC era.
Yeah,
It was in and around that time period. It's too long ago for me to pinpoint it.
Yeah, most definitely. And if I were to ask you if your man match, Richard, who are you going to give it to?
I'll give it to Jenny. I thought Jenny looked really good, and I like to be different. I'll give it to him. It was between him and Edwards, I think. But I'll give it to Katamu. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny, what about you?
Yeah, I like Jenny too, but I'm gonna give mine to Bragança. I thought he did really well. Yeah, got a goal right at the end too. But yeah, toss up between those two for me.
Yeah, Chris, what about you?
It's tough. I'm gonna go Edwards, I suppose.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm gonna go for Saint Just because been away for like 5 months, however long it was. Come back, didn't miss a stride. There was one point he went down. I think he was just stretching.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, no!
And you were like, "Fuck, there it is,
bro." And it was like in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. No,
yeah,
it was like early on. It was like 20
wasn't
minutes
long.
in.
Yeah, and then
Some
he
shit
just
like
got
that.
down. I was like, oh no.
He saw him
Yeah.
go down. You went, "Oh no, there it is. It's done. He's done again." There has been another 4 months.
But no, he looked good, and I think I don't know if he'll play on Thursday, but we'll see. I suppose
He might. I assume he'd probably get some minutes Thursday, especially depending on how the game's going.
off the bench. I think was definitely.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
He'll come off the bench as one of the middle substitutions. He might get like 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a bit more, depending on how the game's going.
Also, I feel bad for Eduardo Cresman not getting some burn in this game.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
I thought, maybe this is the game to get his confidence back after making him play 20 minutes and subbing him off the game before. But
Low key, I'm kind of shocked. I mean, it felt like Amorim chose between playing 4-3-3 rather than playing Edwards at the back of St. Just.
Yeah.
To be honest.
yeah,
It's like, do I just put him in or do I just change the whole formation? And he won't change the whole formation.
Yeah,
apparently.
crazy.
Wild play, but it pays off, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. The next segment is our predictions. But to be transparent, I believe it was me and Chris didn't put our predictions in until the game started. But I don't think anyone had scored by then. I think maybe it was just as the penalty got given.
If anything, it was 1-0 them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ours and Chris' predictions were in after, but to be fair, it didn't really help us. The only one with 3 points is Danny for getting 2 correct goal scorers,
He
Bragança.
did, yeah. He leapfrogs
and
me, I think,
Jenny.
now, too.
He does. And everyone else got 1 point for just guessing the win. And at the top, Danny takes it in first, 22.
I picked them to
Richard-
score an own goal. That was kind of rogue on my part. I was just like, own goal, anybody.
That's
goal.
smart.
Well, I went Paulinho hat trick.
I went Paulinho too, and then I was like, oh, maybe Trincão will have like a decent game because I imagine he'll probably get
him too, yeah.
And then he was like, you fucking thought, you dumb shit. Yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna be rogue and like we'll shithouse like an own goal. I figured it'd be a little rogue. Every once in a while, I feel like it's good to put that in there.
But yeah, most definitely. And
I feel like if one of us guesses an own goal, we should get like an extra point for that as well. Like you get a point for getting an own goal, but you get like 2 points if you predict an own goal.
Predict an own goal, and then whoever scores the own goal.
If you predict who scores the own goal, that's unbelievable. Like you're playing Man United, Harry Maguire, you know that's happening. Everybody puts that down. 3 points.
He scored today though.
Did he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he got United the winner.
Holy
Legend.
Braga lost, I saw.
Slab head. Yeah.
He got man of the match
Braga
last game as well,
kept it
yeah.
interesting though.
They played it really well. Like I caught the last like half hour or so. They played it really well.
Yeah. I didn't watch.
But I think they're probably going to drop down to Europa League the way it's looking after these 3 games.
Probably better for them though.
What are they, 1 and 2?
They're 1 and 2, yeah, because they've lost 2 like really close ones, and then they won a close one as well.
They beat, was it Union Berlin they beat?
And Berlin
On a late
as
winner.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Union Berlin in Berlin as well, so that was a tough
3-2.
that they stole a point. Yeah, it was a wicked last minute goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next bit is obviously the predictions for the game against Raquel, but obviously I won't fill them in because you can change them up until midnight the day before. But Daniel, I'll start with you. Thursday Europa League game versus Raquel. What's your predictions and who's going to score?
We're going to Poland, right? This is an away game.
Yeah, it's an away. It's away from home.
That's
That'd be
Stahova away.
That's a tough one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. That's for sure.
Nah, I was
They're
thinking
coming
like
off
maybe
a 2-1 loss.
They are.
Who?
In the Polish
who?
league this
Does it-
weekend.
Ooh.
A
say that?
mid-table team.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be
I don't
around
know.
14 degrees in Poland in Raquel Thursday.
That's not
And
too
raining,
bad. It's still
apparently.
manageable. It's
It's
like
nice
14
and warm,
degrees
brother.
here in Canada. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's summer out here, baby.
That's because I was out in the t-shirt today. Like that's fine. That's nothing.
Yeah. It's actually really nice today.
It is a nice day.
So, anyways, I don't know. I'm gonna go with another 2-1 win, same as against the Austrian lads. We're gonna
Sturm
We're
Graz.
exactly. We're gonna go down 1. We're gonna panic a little bit, and then we're just gonna get 2 back-to-back goals. I'm gonna say Thick Vic, who dropped before the game was suspended, at least. Dropped that Belgian defender
that
on
was
his
such a
ass
nice
in
goal.
international break. We forgot to mention that last week.
Did you see
Oh
who
my
that Belgian defender was, by the way?
Was it Vermaelen?
Yeah,
No,
it was Jan
was it
Vertonghen.
Vertonghen?
Vertonghen,
It
yeah.
was-
Yeah, he
He
should
goes-
not still be out there for the national
He
team.
should.
They're not
Yeah,
serious, man.
he's what 38 now. Like, bro,
Literally the day before, he was like, I was close to signing for Estoril just to stay in
Yeah,
Lisbon.
just
He's
to
like, I
stay
really
in
want to stay in
Portugal.
Lisbon. I'm like, I can't.
Estoril don't want you, man.
Yeah,
That would have been
I-
amazing.
I was like, I can't say I blame you for wanting to stay in Lisbon. It's fucking beautiful, but like, bro, give it up.
Got dropped on your ass. So yeah, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with a Thick Vic goal because I feel like he'll start. I don't think
Yeah.
we'll keep him on the bench. And Paulinho, because I seen something, an article or some shit like that. I don't know if it came out yesterday or sometime this week, saying that Paulinho and Victor don't score when they're playing together, some shit like that, when they did it in the first jornada. I think I seen like Sporting Adept like talking shit about like Record or something. Anyway, so I'm gonna go with Thick Vic and Lil
But they
Paul.
both scored in the game against fucking
The first game.
Vitella or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So do your
Kind of
research.
shit, bro. Exactly. Maybe they mean when they start or something.
Call
I'm not sure.
yourself journalist. Jesus.
Yeah.
Or-
Jornalisto.
Journalistu.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fucking losers. Is what they are.
Chris, what about you? What are your score predictions for Thursday?
I also have to go with the Thick Vic goal. He's a machine. He's fresh. He didn't play. Definitely starting. 2-1 win for Sporting.
Nice.
Other goal. Inacio. Inacio and Thick Vic. They're gonna tie it in between, and then Jokeres with the winner.
Interesting.
Fair enough. Richard, what about you, man?
I'm gonna go 2-0, just to be different. But I am gonna go Thick Vic and Paulinho, so I'm not that different. I'm just predicting a slightly different, a modestly different scoreline. I think one of those two guys is safe for a goal this game. I reckon. 2-0. I'm gonna stick with that. 2-0, Paulinho and Jokeres.
Fair enough. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going with Hulman Banger because we've seen them a few times. I think we're due another one. I'll go with Jokeres for one as well. And he's been on good form, so I'll go with Marcus Edwards for the other.
It's a good shout. That's a really good shout.
But yeah, we have got some Twitter questions as well today, so we'll go on to those. I'll start off with the Matthias one because we did sort of touch on it briefly earlier. And he goes, thoughts on Amorim's talent management. And I guess what this refers to is what we talked about earlier with guys like Fatawu only getting limited minutes. There's Vinagre, there's Sotiris, there's loads of guys you can bring up.
There's the classics, Slimani.
I was surprised you didn't bring up Slimani first, personally. Yeah,
I completely forget.
Some of his best hits.
Yeah, that's like the first of the one-hit wonders.
Matthew
Ristovsky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually got a pretty good list at this point.
Yeah, he does.
I think he's dudes. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But Chris, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Amorim's talent management? And do you think I don't know how to word it, but like, do you think it's going to affect players, or do you think it's just, it is what it is?
I think it kind of is what it is, unfortunately. It's not just like, the older experienced veterans who want to just like not go 100% in training, because like there's plenty of like younger players too that like have been frozen out. It's crazy that Eduardo Quaresma even got like a kind of a second opportunity.
Yeah.
Because there are so many guys that have been in that position and just never even, you didn't even look their way again. Mm-hmm. It could have been kind of out of just necessity. There just wasn't enough bodies for center back. And he's like, fuck, well, I kind of just got to add this dude to the roster so I can have 6 center backs. So yeah, it is definitely a tough situation at times, especially when like guys like Fatawu, it's like, I mean, none of us are like professional scouts or anything, but it's like your average Twitter user like could see that this lad was very talented and like there was potential there, and it was probably worth like attempting to uncover the potential, right? There are often players that are like too good for like the B team or the U23 team, but not quite good enough for the senior team.
They're like in that in between.
They fall into that in between, and I constantly was wondering if he was kind of in that category. But I mean, he's hit the ground running pretty much, I would say, in England. I mean, he hasn't started every game or anything like that. But he's definitely come on strong in the last month, I would say, and become more of a regular over there. Leicester's in first, right? If they're promoted, if they win the league, I think
they're first, and they've got 36 points already.
Yeah,
so
and if
they
win the championship, the buy clause is automatically activated.
Yeah,
so he's not coming back no matter what if they win the league, which doesn't seem that far fetched at this point.
Is it if they win or if they just get promoted? Because I know 1 and 2 both get automatic.
I think it's promoted.
I believe it's just promoted, yeah.
So 1 and 2 get promos, and like 3 to 6 is like the playoff.
3 to 7,
the 4-team like promotion playoff.
Yeah,
so they're looking like they're good for at least second, and probably gonna run away with the championship the way they're looking. Like they've looked good.
I mean, they're 8 points ahead,
championships,
but they've also got 2 games ahead of everyone. So, Ipswich can make it up.
So yeah, I mean, his talent management is definitely like cause for concern at times, because it kind of just allows players like Fatawu to just slip away, kind of, right? Yeah. So if Leicester gets promoted, he stays with them. He starts playing well. It's like all of a sudden, like he's like his name's on the map. He's playing well in the Prem. Everyone knows who he is, stuff. It's just like
it's a missed opportunity.
It's frustrating because like he was here. Yeah. There was kind of a mad dash to try to sign him out of Ghana. Yeah. We won the sweepstakes, and then we just fucked off.
Nothing with it. Like
beat Liverpool.
Beat out Liverpool, and then it's just like actually we don't really care that much. It's like what is that? So yeah, it's frustrating at times. But I think it is kind of what you get with Amorim, right? It's not just like, oh, he's only in his 3rd season of being a full-time manager. It's like, I mean, he's still a young manager, but like, I don't know how much he's gonna change, to be honest.
Most managers don't break a lot of habits, right? Like
it would be really interesting to see how he
look at any great like Mourinho. Look at Ancelotti.
Look at Pep.
You have to be able to tell certain. You do have to be able to tell dudes to fuck off, right?
You got it. Like you're a coach, you do in any sport. You have to be a bit of an asshole
because at a certain point, if they're like that like X player could be negatively impacting the team, right? And it's like the team is the most important thing. So you have to protect the team at all costs, right? Or like act in the best interest of the team at all costs. And you could argue that he's acting the way he acts because that's what he's doing, or that's what he thinks he's doing. And so to be fair, sometimes it works out. Like exiling Eduardo Quaresma, like no one really cared because he hasn't shown anything. He went to Germany, he didn't do anything. He had an up and down loan spell on a team that got relegated. I mean, is the man that wrong about him? Right. So sometimes it's like more defensible than others. But yeah, I think that it kind of is what it is. Like, I don't really see how it's going to change that much,
I think
it's frustrating, right? Oh, I was going to say, it's frustrating sometimes because like Fatah is such a missed opportunity, you feel. And it's like, you're a coach. You have to know when to be an asshole. You do have to be a bit of a jerk sometimes. It's part of the job. You can't just be.
Katamo kind of worked his way back because like he was just getting thrown into random transfers with Vitória de Guimarães, just like
just for shits, right? Like you gotta know when to put your foot down. I think Amorim does. You gotta give him credit. He doesn't take shit from people. He's not gonna take stupid shit from any player, but sometimes like man, like just communicate, just talk to the guy because like a guy like Fatawu is such a missed opportunity. Feel like Chris said. There was that big dash to sign him, and then we did nothing with him. And it's just like, why did we waste the time on all?
Yeah,
that?
but I think you got to take the good with the bad though too, because to every bad player, there's a good player. To every Fatawu, there's a Ugarte. To every Gonçalo Plata, there's a Gonçalo Inácio. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you guys. It is what it is, and it sucks. And there are a few missed opportunities there, right? I mean, I'm big on Tiago Tomás. You guys might not be, but I'm big on Tiago Tomás, right? I feel like there was a space for him in the team. Obviously, Slimani could have done better, but now we have Gyökeres. I mean, Nuno Santos wasn't this Nuno Santos when he first came to us. Even Marcus Edwards, you can say he's changed him as well. Like he's improved his style of play. Jenny as well, right? It sucks. I just don't want to. I don't want it to seem like he's just this like talent waster because he also has developed a lot of good players as well that have benefited from us that we sold, right? Like Bidupuru as well, for example, right? So
yeah, I think what the main issue is for me is not the fact that he sort of like wastes talent, I guess you could say, but he's obviously got clear favorites. Like Pedro Gonçalves is a clear one. Season before it was Ricardo's guy and Paulinho. Just he would never drop them, and it didn't make sense to me how bad performance after bad performance they were still getting the team, whereas Fatah comes on out of position at right wing back against Porto, nearly scores, not seen for like 2-3 months. Even last year, I think he showed more favoritism to Arthur Gomez than he did Roshinha.
Oh my god, we were getting so much. I was sick and tired of seeing Arthur Gomes.
Yeah, and then
I don't care what some of you weirdos on Twitter think. He's not the next coming of Neymar.
Nothing. Even this year with Fresneda, I mean, he doesn't start bare games. He doesn't even come off the bench, and then boom, you start against Atalanta.
Just throw him to the wolves.
A little weird.
Yeah, that's the only issue. If it was like, oh, he just wastes talent, like fair enough, and like Danny said, you have to look at the positives and negatives. Also, the positive with Fatah, do we make him 16, 18 million off a player who wasn't playing
off
for
of like a what trade? Like it's pure profit, right?
Of someone who wasn't playing anyway, and I assume there's probably a sell-on fee to that as well. So
it's probably like 10 to 15%.
Yeah, and then I think the issue for me is that when you have guys who are such in bad form, and we've been saying for the last year probably saying that Pedro Gonçalves needs to be dropped, and I think he dropped him like once or twice, and they were probably like rotation games. And like I said, season before, Paulinho and Ricardo Esgaio. So I don't know. I feel like it's something that he'll probably have to learn on. But I guess he coaches for the team, not for the fans. And he said that a few times as well. Like we loved Fatah, we love these guys, but we don't see what goes on in training. Obviously, we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe Fatah was shit at training. Maybe Slimani was also shit at training, but. I feel like you can't just have that many guys who are just shit at training and then, have to leave. But
I think there's also
you're only going to hear half that. You're ever going to get the full story anyways, right?
Right.
Like you're very seldom going to hear exactly what happened. There's two sides to it, right?
Because I'm pretty sure they made Slimani sign an NDA. NDA?
Like there's perspective of side A. Chris, you're on mute, my guy. There's
I think
side
that's a
A,
semi-regular
B,
practice.
and then the truth
NDA.
probably lies somewhere in the middle.
I also think that if Amorim got everything right, he wouldn't be at Sporting for 4 years. Like, it's very hard to find you a manager in Europe that gets every decision right. You know what I mean?
Ed hasn't moved on at some point.
Exactly, bro. And you got to also, like, there's many cases of it. Like, Gnabry right now for Bayern, let's not forget, he was benched at West Brom. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many cases of this that a player gets benched at like another team and then he emerges to something. Sometimes it's just in the destiny for the player. Sometimes you need to get benched at Sporting to thrive at Leicester to maybe get signed to like Liverpool in like 3 years, right?
I think the issue for Amorim as well, that if he tries this at a big club, it's not going to work as well as it is here. Because we've seen, for example, Man United, someone gets dropped and the press gets the story leaked, or even in Lyon we've seen it because they're in the relegation. Ajax. If he tries to do that if he tries to go to Man United, and let's say, for example, I don't know, we'll use Harry Maguire as an example anyway, and just say, look, you're being dropped. I don't want you training with the team. You're out of here, and I'm going to play other guys. And Harry Maguire's going to go straight to the press and be like, look, this guy's forcing me out. And then that's how you get the players turning against the coach. I don't think it works like that in sport at the moment, but I feel like going to a bigger club, that could be his issue. But,
and a bigger team like that, there's bigger egos. There's bigger money, bigger egos at play, right? And we're seeing you brought up Man United. We're seeing it with Jadon Sancho right now, right?
Yeah, but we started with Slimani, and that I will attest to the fact that when we started last season, Slimani was a big impact in our downfall because he was the one who tweeted out something. Literally, I think it was the first game of the season before the how like Amorim has his favorites, and that's Paulinho and stuff, and then all the press conferences were like, "Oh, what Slimani this, Slimani that." So we've already had it.
It was that Slimani,
And I think, to be fair, I think Vidal also shared some support on his Instagram story at the time or something like that. So we've seen it in small doses, but wherever that affects him into a bigger club, it remains to be seen.
I also think, really, last thing on this, I also think he benefits a lot from winning the league with a lot of kids too, because it might give us
a lot of young guys. It was a young team.
It gives him like the appearance that he is like a young. Well, it's good and bad because it maybe gives him the appearance that he's like a real youth, like he'll really develop the youth, when I feel like that was really just the reality we had that season. And he just so happened to like luck in on this generation with like Nuno Mendes, Inácio. We signed, and then if you look at his signings, like we signed Vidal, we signed Nuno Santos, we signed Pot, like these not old, but not young players either. Maybe Vidal is more on the older side, but I just feel like he's also lucked into that by having young players in that title winning side. He's maybe looked at as like a real like how Ten Hag is kind of looked at like with Ajax, right? Like he'll develop these young players to be like
that was the reality of the club at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, how much of that is him? How much of that is the player? Who knows? But there's also success stories. We can't just paint a picture like it's not, right? But
we got to keep
it's 50-50 though. It's very much 50-50. For every Fatawu, there's a Nuno Mendes. For every Tiago Tomás, there's a
Inácio.
So Inácio, so
you got to keep in mind too, like that team was such like capturing such lightning in a bottle, because like we all went into that season thinking like, fuck, we're probably gonna finish. We'll be lucky to finish in a Europa League spot. Like like we were genuinely like, this team's gonna play like, because we had such a disaster year the year before.
I think we all predicted Sporting finished fourth on this podcast. We were like, I think fourth or third. No one went higher than that.
No one went to second. Yeah, it was like Bruno was gone the mid-season before. Like we had like sign where either okay signs. We have no clue how they're actually going to do. Like Paulinho had been kind of on loan at Braga the past 2 years before that.
He was almost sold that summer.
And was almost sold for like
CSK
to Zenit.
Yeah.
Like
Nuno Santos came in as like a mid-table player as well. Like no one thought Nuno Santos, and he was also an excellent piano. People weren't.
Like Wendell got sold. So we're like, well, there goes what we thought was going to be one of our better midfielders.
Matheus Nunes came in, right? Like Matheus Nunes really revolutionized.
Yeah, like we had a lot of.
well.
It was a lot of that.
And he was off
There
the
was
bench.
so much turnover in that team from the year before. Most because you had no choice. You could not in good conscience run that same team from the year before back. They were god awful in every competition. But like they just caught such lightning in a bottle that year with how they winning a double, winning the Taça Liga and the league.
Yeah, definitely. Rich, I'll give this next question to you. What are your thoughts on Jenny and his role at the club? Do you think he should be playing in a more starting role, or do you think the role we have him now is good?
It's tough to put him in a starting role because there's so many guys like technically ahead of him in the depth chart at wing. But I've liked most of what I've seen from him. The only time I've really been upset with Jenny is when he gets frustrated. He's chicken with his head cut off. He starts running into players. He starts giving the ball away very easily and cheaply. I think if there was one less winger on the team ahead of him, he probably starts a lot more games. I'm fine with him on the bench now, considering the depth we have. I'm curious to see if Trincão continues to play bad. Does that push him back up in the depth chart? Maybe will Jenny start getting the Trincão minutes more often? Who knows? So I just don't see Pot being really benched, and I don't know that Edwards, you're not going to bench him right now. He's playing great. So where do you go from there? Right? Those are two of your wingers. Yeah, and then you've kind of been rolling with the system of Paulinho and Joquetas on another wing anyways, with one of Edwards or Pot on a wing anyways. So it's tough. I'd like to see a bit more minutes from him happily, but it's just tough given the current depth chart and setup of the team.
I do think he's going to be a player that is much better off the bench, and I think that's proven to be true. When he started, we were just he's just so frustrating. I think he's so quick, he's so good with the ball that when he comes off the bench, it's
against tired legs, especially in a scenario where we're down or something. It's just dribble, I also
bro. Feel similar to Bragança. I think Bragança could start, but I feel like he's much better off the bench when we need a goal, we need some creativity. Bragança comes in. I don't think
it's a good burst of energy to have, right? That's what I get. I get when Jovan wasn't as frustrated, I get similar vibes to Jovan.
Jovan against Porto, for example.
Jovan against Porto. Yeah, I get when Jovan was having a good day, that's kind of what Jenny reminds me of. He's just such a great burst of energy. He's quick. He could do some great stuff.
Do you remember the OG Jovan role on the team of the super sub Jovan, when he first came into the team?
Yeah, that was a fun time. That was we had saw Bruno and Nani.
That's what he got in terms of against Porto, bro, off the bench, and then he scored 2 to win us that Taça
Liga. He got us to the final that year, in the bubble year. That's kind of who he reminds me of when he's playing well, but also when he's not playing well, he reminds me of Jovan because Jovan would do kind of but he would do some of the same stuff. He'd dribble into a guy, or he'd give the ball away kind of easily, and just mistakes you shouldn't.
When it's not working, he's just doing tricks and giving it away. It sucks.
Yeah, but when he's on, he's on. It's kind of similar vibe.
He's on more than he's not, for sure.
He's had more good. There's been a lot more good than bad with Catamo. I think we can say that. It's not been 50-50. It's more 60-40 good to bad right now. Teetering on 65, 70 to 30, depending on the day. But he's looked good.
Need to get the other 75% of that pass though.
We gotta get that pass. We gotta sort that out. we gotta figure out. That's not. I saw that today, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a rough number." That's not.
Especially now that there's teams in England and stuff he's catching.
Now there's a market for him.
There's gonna be more eyes on him now because he's
catching eyes, and that only as we've seen with Pot and the other guys who guard as they get better, your leverage for buying the pass does not get better. Goes down. It just drags on for years.
Yeah. And what I will say about Jenny as well, I think the only game that really, I was like, oh, he was awful, was the game against Strompcast, and then he bounced back the game after. So I think he's also playing he's got something to prove. I think he knows this is make or break for him because he got relegated last year when Moriston was okay. Didn't play a lot of Guimarães the year before. So it's just it's now or never, really. And I think he's playing well. He's been caught up for Mozambique as well, and he's been playing well for them. So Fair
He'll
play.
probably there. He'll probably be one of the guys gone for. I think Mozambique's back in AFCON this year as well, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll probably end up losing him for AFCON along with Diomande, I imagine, in January, February, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I love AFCON. It just sucks that it takes place in the middle of the season because I actually love international football like that. I love tournament football.
I love and hate it, and I only hate it because one time I lost a large sum of money betting on Burkina Faso to beat Ethiopia when they were mad favorites. And Ethiopia, I mean, can you tell me one player that plays for Ethiopia? Anybody?
Jim. I don't know.
I can tell you at least 2 players from Burkina Faso. So I thought, heavy favorites. This is easy money.
Yeah.
Don't they draw at 1-1 and Burkina Faso? I'm watching.
Here's the thing with
Burkina
African
Faso
football.
just passing it in the back.
Here's the thing with African football. It's kind of like the middle to low end of CONCACAF in the sense that anything can happen. It's very unpredictable at the best of times. The teams you expect to be favorites aren't always necessarily the ones who come out on top. It's like Europe. It
was like Burkina Faso needed a win to qualify.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't want to talk about it.
I'll be rooting for my. I'll be rooting for my. I'll root for Mozambique, but I'll be rooting for my Nigerian and Cameroonian boys. Those are usually the teams I like to cheer for.
I have tried to Google the Ethiopian national team. I don't recognize a single name.
I know, brother. I know, brother. I'm
usually
so
because you go to the teams like Morocco, Egypt, Cameroon, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. I'm trying to think of other ones like South Africa. You usually recognize at least a couple names depending on the team. I remember I could name most of the Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon teams off by. Oh, when I was a kid, those teams slapped. Those teams were so good. Ghana, those teams, they always have some really good players. Mm-hmm. But AFCON's weird. You just get these random teams with no dudes you've ever heard of just go on a run sometimes. But that's why I love it, because I love chaos. I love AFCON.
Fair enough. And I guess we'll end today on some sadder news, and that is Diego Capel, Bruno Cesar, Mathieu, and also Matias Fernandez and Insua have all retired.
2 weeks, yeah.
What I wanted to ask you guys, we'll go in order. Rich, what is your favorite memory of all 3 players? So individually, what is your favorite memory? And if you can't remember one, you just pass.
You know what? Mathieu, I'll start with Mathieu. It was Mathieu after the Final de Taça in 2019. Because he was there for the year before with Alcochette and everything. And him seeing how much it meant to him, and then in the post game he talked about how it was one of those for him one of the most meaningful trophies he had won, and just seeing that emotion, how much it meant to him, even though he wasn't Portuguese and wasn't formed at the club, right? He was towards the end of his career. That just cemented him as one of my guys, one of the OGs. Diego Capel is one of those guys. He deserves so much better than what he got at Sporting. I always remember him being so clutch in that Europa League run in 2012. With Matias, I want to mention Matias Fernandes as well, because Matigol was a big part of that run. He just retired. So I remember just some of the clutch goals he scored in that. I think I saw the one he scored against Bilbao, I want to say, in the semis in the first leg, a really good goal. Someone shared that. And then Bruno Cesar was always good for a couple bangers a year. He had the one that put us up against Real Madrid. We should have fucking won that game.
And Juventus.
And Juventus. He just showed it. He just ran a big game. He would just be fucking, we ball. He was Bruno Cesar, shoot the caralho, indeed. Those. So, glad to see they were great servants for a team. They were always really cool. Wish them the best. Go enjoy your retirement. You've earned it. Nothing really else to say. They're fun players to watch. I wish they could have won. They deserved more than what they ended up with at Sporting, I feel. But yeah, I was privileged to have watched them. They were fun players. They were good players to watch. They were always represented the club well, I felt. Yeah,
most definitely. Danny, what about you?
I mean, I can't remember Diego Capel's moments per se right now, bro. I mean, I smoked a lot of weed and drank a lot of alcohol since he's last played. So
Well, if you were watching Sporting during that time, you needed that to
Yeah.
watch.
I needed that later on in
Flawless.
life, but so yeah, the brain cells have been suffering a little bit. Nothing comes to mind right now. Of course, the Bruno Cesar. To me, it's the Real Madrid game. That game, he was like unstoppable. And if I'm not mistaken, he was at left back that game.
Yeah,
he was at left back for a lot of games.
He was a left mid because we were playing like 4-4-2. They just said fuck it, we're throwing him into left back.
He was under Jorge Jesus. He loved throwing Bruno Cesar at left back when we were chasing a game. So, my favorite Mathieu moment. Now I'm just forgetting if it's against Roca or
is it a free kick banger?
The free kick. I'm pretty sure it was.
He had a couple free kicks. He had one against Nacional and one against.
I'm thinking Nacional, where we came back and we won the game 4-3, something along.
That was lines. That popped
up.
That was
Nacional, right?
It was
Nacional.
He did score a banger, a similar free kick banger against Roca, but that Nacional game was I remember that game very vividly. It was a very back and forth.
We were down like 3-1 at one point.
It was 3-1 or 2. We were down by 2 goals and we ended up winning like 4-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was I remember that game for some reason very vividly, even though it was a nothing game in the middle of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, that's definitely up there for me.
Yeah.
I mean, out of this list, Mathieu is I would argue Mathieu is a true. Capel as well, but I think like Capel you can debate because we've had some incredible.
Capel didn't win any trophies. That's the problem.
It's not even the trophies to me. I think it's more so like Capel he was amazing for the team we had, but in reality, like the 1 year under Sarabia was probably better than the 4 or 5 years we had Capel for. You know what I mean? Like he was great given the conditions. He wasn't like a great.
It was just the conditions for that period were really like we were in the trenches as a club.
Yeah. But a good player. I love Capel.
Yeah, I like him.
But Mathieu is definitely like without a doubt, like in my eyes at least, true like legend. Like there's no touching Mathieu. He didn't win a league with us. Maybe he won a Taça Portugal and a Taça.
He won the Taça. He won the Taça in 2019, and he won 2 Taça Ligas.
There you go. But no. But I think his speech at the end is what motivated Spartan to win the league when he said, "I hope you guys are champions next year." So I'm giving it on him. But it's sad to see these guys go. It's sad for Mathieu. Many people thought Mathieu was already retired many years ago, but he's been playing in like the 3rd division in France or something along those lines.
I think it's the
even lower,
5th
like
division in
France.
Yeah, it was like amateur
for his hometown club.
For a few years, for like 2 or 3. So. Curious to see. I would love to see Bruno Cesar at Al Hilal right now as like an assistant for Jorge Jesus, just because they were just that good. I'm surprised like Jorge Jesus didn't bring him out to Saudi Arabia the 2 times he was out there, or at least the last time he was out there. Or even to Flamengo when he was in Brazil. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, sad to see them go. And I just want to make, like you guys both mentioned, but Mati goal, Matias Fernandes. Not only his goal against Everton, but all his like that.
I always default to the goal against City.
City. Okay,
I always go to the free kick goal against City that clinched just the tie. Not even the goal again. And then the Everton goal.
That Everton goal, though. Oh my Lord! What a goal!
God, you switch to porn when people walk in on you watching that.
Yeah. Shout out to our sister club Fiorentina, but we never should have let him go.
Yeah. I agree. That's a guy who I wish we got a couple more years out of.
Yeah. But I also think we would be letting him leave because I feel like he should have gone to somewhere where he could challenge a bit more. And I guess Fiorentina at that time was still one of the big powerhouses in Italy.
They were a big team. Like they were a Champions League team.
5th, 6th.
And around that time, they were always fighting for European football. Like they were a decent team.
Yeah, that's definitely. Chris, what about you? Your favorite memories of the 3, and also Matias Fernandes?
I'm trying to think. I think it might have been against Tondela, but I'm not positive. It was just one of those frustrating games where I think it was I think we're actually losing 1-0 at the time. And Mathieu banged in a free kick.
Yeah.
And then we would go on to win the game in the last like 10 minutes. So that was definitely a great memory. He had a couple great free kick goals for us.
He scored a few bangers.
To be fair. Bruno Cesar, Definitely some great memories there. What was it against Real Madrid? He scored. Juventus, he scored.
Yeah.
Götze wearing his shirt at the end of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he just he had a great little run for us. That was a George Jesus special to bring him in.
And it wasn't like November, if you guys remember. Like he was playing for Israel for a few months.
I'm like, I thought transfer window was done. What the shit? He just showed in. He just spawned in one day. Like he's here now.
Capel, I mean, people that know me know I'm not the biggest Capel fan.
Yeah.
So I don't really the specifics of Capel. I was also younger. So it's just more so like the memories of like specific teams that he was a part of. Like I know he was out there for like the defeat of Man City and stuff like that. So it's not more so specific memories for Capel. There was a late winner that I kind of remember that kind of stands out to me, but I have much more specific memories of the other two. Matias Fernandes, he kind of played in the in-between period, kind of. Maybe he overlapped briefly with Capel, but he was kind of in the in-between of these guys period. Obviously, there's like his most famous moment is probably the intentional back heel against Everton, which every now and again you'll see circulating again.
It pops up like once a year.
No,
bro, I feel like it's once every like 2-3 weeks.
Every 3 months.
Oh, I don't see that every 2-3 weeks.
It's like 4 times a year.
You know?
It pops up. It's always that in the city.
I'm not going to complain. I haven't seen the Matthew free kicks. We need to get those circulating again.
I saw a bunch of them like the last couple of days. I'm surprised you.
Oh, was it because of
it's probably because of
retired.
I haven't seen it. Damn, I need to get my
Matias Fernandes, it's like that the Europa admin. He loves us.
I
feel like
he tweeted João Moutinho goal the other day, bro.
Yeah, they showed a João Moutinho banger from like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's worth it to have like these random moments immortalized by the Europa League admin. But we need to get a similar type
Sporting
thing going
ever wins the Europa League, that admin's going fucking crazy.
I mean, he tweeted like that Pedro Gonçalves goal memories like last week, like
a week ago. if this club ever gets his
wasn't even that long
ago. Europa League, that Europa League admin is going crazy. They're having themselves
it's like, who remembers this Pedro Gonçalves goal? It's like, dude, it was 6 months ago.
6 months ago, everybody remembers it. There.
Like, most remember it, I feel it.
Like, ask me in like 5 years if I still remember it. Like,
so yeah, I'll take it. No complaints.
Yeah.
And you know, these guys will be missed. It's like I mentioned, it's the second retirement for Matthew.
He kind of had a soft retirement. This is like the hard.
Yeah, it was a soft retirement. Now we got a hard retirement.
Yeah. For me, I think the national goal for Mathieu is up there for me, just because I didn't really watch a lot of him at Barcelona. I didn't realize he was good on free kicks. So I don't remember if Nacional was the first free kick or maybe it was Europa, but it was just like, why is Mathieu standing over it? And then he banged it into the
corner. You're like, never mind, I'd stand correct.
That's fine. Bruno Cesar for me was his debut versus Setúbal in January, and I think it was in January. He scored 2 goals, and they were both absolute bangers. And I was watching it with my dad. We were like, "He's the best player in the league. He's going to be the best player in the league." How did we sign this guy for free? He scored 2 bangers, and we won the match. I think it was like 6-0 or something. And I think he scored like the second goal, and I was just like, "Oh, he's incredible. He's going to win us all." And you know,
turn your dad like, this is the greatest player of all time.
But no,
don't miss.
Me and my brother have a running joke with my dad because every time he sees someone debut, he's like, "What a signing!" Like, "Oh, he's fantastic." Ruben Ribeiro was one as well that he had.
Oh my god, I forgot about him.
And he was like, "Oh, he's so good on the ball. Like he's like our version of Pirlo." And I was like, "Okay, we'll see. We'll wait on that one."
I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of shit.
Yeah,
he was not great. He was one of the Alcochef boys when he was sending him, like, you know what, you can go. He was like the only one. I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm fine with you leaving. Go ahead.
There's a few others that he was just like, when this Sunday was like, oh, he's so good, he's going to be class, and they turned out to be, somewhat average. But my favorite Capel memory, it's not even one at Sporting, but it's just this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before.
Is it the Kappa? Yeah. My God, I knew this was coming.
Messi, Ronaldo,
Diego
Capel.
Pinnacles of modern football.
Equal.
Right there.
That was like 2007, 2006.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
The pinnacles of modern football. You think Ronaldo, you got to mention Messi, and if you think of Messi, you got to mention Diego Capel.
Yeah. All of them played in Spain. We all know Capel had probably the best time out of the three. I would say in Spain.
Yeah.
What did Messi and Ronaldo win?
They never won a Europa League.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's my favorite memory. Just because like Danny says, I can barely remember what happened in Capel season. To be fair, the most thing I remember about Capel was him leaving in the Bruno de Carvalho season, because I just remember he was a bit washed up by that point. I think he was still like 28, but he was like our highest paid player, and he was just It
was a big transition time for Sporting, right? Like that period, and like the era where Capel played, like his prime years of Sporting, is kind of like a lost era. It's kind of forgotten because the team was in the fucking trenches. And like right when he was leaving was when we started getting like the Jelsons, the Williams, Patricio finally knew how to play goal. Adrian was playing well. Like
he played in either Jardim's last season or Mark Silva's last season. I can't remember which one he moved.
Definitely wasn't
he moved when Mark Silva was the coach.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think. I think he came just before Jardim, if I'm not mistaken. That's when he left.
No, I feel like he
came off the bench, and I thought he was awful that season because he come off the bench. I think he might have had an injury or something. He just was not. It was
because I vividly remember him getting like at least one or two like sub appearances with Marco Silva and having at least that preseason. It was like right in that 2014, 2015 beginning of that season when he was when they left him, because they had that was a weird kind of transition time for a team. They were bringing up a lot of young players. Mark Silva was really keen on that. Like Cedric was on that team. I remember that team vividly because they won the Taça that year, right?
Yeah.
And that was their first year back in Champions League after being away for so many years.
That was Nani's return as well, the first one.
Nani came back on loan because of the Marcos Rojo deal. As part of that deal. I remember.
Yeah.
See, I remember a lot of stupid shit. You like put a gun to my head to ask like something useful, nothing. This stuff, like I'll rattle it off.
Yeah, I think we're all the same. We could give you some really just random sporting trivia.
If you ask me, like, what do you know, Richard? I know everything. None of it's useful information, but I know so much of it.
Yeah. I think that's just the average football fan nowadays. Yeah. I feel like you've got so much to take in that I guess you don't really have room for anything else.
Long said, like, I learned more about the world and, like, geography, like, watching football and playing FIFA than I ever did in school.
Facts.
Ever. Yeah. Like,
flags, I only know flags because of the World Cup.
I know like cities and like countries and stuff because of FIFA and the World Cup games as a kid when it used to be the standalone games more than I ever learned in like 8 years in primary school and like 5 in high school or 4 in high school or whatever, like than I ever learned in those years combined. I learned more from FIFA.
I couldn't tell you Pythagoras, but I can name Sporting starting 11 from like.
all I remember is the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
That means nothing to me.
I'm
glad that means nothing to me.
I've never needed algebra when doing groceries, but I can tell you the 23 men that won the league for Sparta.
Yeah, I can name you the entire lineup of Euro 2016.
Yeah.
I could tell you every goal scorer for Portugal at like the 2006 World Cup. Like stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess on that note, unless you guys have anything else to cover, we'll end it here.
Do we have any Modalidades? I know Modalidades have kind of started now. I know the ladies won at Alvalade.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Chris.
Happened quite a few times today.
Happens.
Handball's 9-0. Basketball is, I think, 3-0.
Yep.
The ladies have had like 4 or 5 games. They've dropped points in already a couple of them. I think they're like 4 or 5 points off the top already, sadly. But they did play at Alvalade this past weekend and won.
Yeah.
So always good for them to get a game at Alvalade than a weekend when there's no senior game. That's really it so far. Futsal,
Futsal?
I think that they are 3-0-1, 4-0-1, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
They're joint top, but they have one draw in there. But they beat Benfica. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, I think. Yeah.
You guys will be sad to know that Steven is drew again today. So we currently have moved down to 7th place, which is still promotion playoffs. But you know,
I think making the promotion playoffs is a good season after
It's
a
a really
promotion, you know.
Yeah.
we just got promoted, but considering we were like 2nd, and then I started going to games, and then we fell all the way down to 7th. So
It happens.
maybe
It
it's
happens.
not
I
bad.
imagine the table's pretty tight. The table's pretty tight, probably, right?
Yeah, it's like so. First is Portsmouth by quite a way, and then it's like 3 points separate 5 points separate 2nd and 7th. So yeah,
Nice.
Well, Beta Mar's fought like 4 or 5 points off top.
Are they in Campeonato Portugal?
Third
Yeah,
division.
So they're trying to get to
Portugal.
Liga 3.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to get promoted to Liga 3. They missed out last year by like a few points. The COVID year that got paused because of the bubble, because of everything, they got relegated. But like it was really well, no, because like the teams that got relegated were all like 3 or 4 points behind the teams that stayed in, like that
Yeah,
ended up going to the
it's
playoff. Like
tough,
it was
bro.
insanely close.
I mean,
right?
Setúbal went down into the Campeonato Portugal from Liga 3 based on like 1 point against Sporting,
Yeah.
because then it's like the group group is four teams and then 2 stay up and 2 go down.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And that's what happened. Like they got relegated, but they were also like with 6 games left, they were like 5 or 6 points off of like a promote, like whatever the playoff is for Campeonato Portugal.
Thin margins.
It's like shit,
Yeah.
man. If they play those 6 games, like who knows, right? And that's what stunk. So that set them back a year. So they're like 4 or 5 points off first this year. So we're hoping. I got a new. I'll wear it next week. Got my new Beta Mars shirt from the Parentals. They just got back from the motherland, so I'll make sure to rep that one next week for the culture.
I will say Viseu slipped down the table massively since last year. They got taken over.
They also lost in the Taça de Portugal this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Sam. I saw that.
Viseu is cooked, bro.
Yeah,
13
not a
for the
good
league.
game. Last year was their chance, bro.
It was that was their chance. They
And then the manager just left, and it was just like
They lost the guy who scored all the goals too, probably, right?
more than
Yeah.
likely.
Clayton, I think. Was it Clayton?
Yeah, it sounds better, right?
Yeah, it was a good run, one season.
Well, it happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's Andre Clovis, and I think he's still there. I think
He stayed.
Legend.
Damn.
I think he might be injured. Oh no, he's played 7 games, just not scored a single goal this season. So
Jeez, man.
last year 30 and 42. So definitely a fall off. But anyway.
Our Liga 2 is interesting. Av's football sod is in first.
Fuck Alves football sad.
Fuck off.
Facts.
and then it's all the island team. It's Marítimo, Nacional, and Santa Clara.
Santa Clara, yeah, they're
Fuck
doing well.
all 4 of those teams.
All the
Yeah.
island team, and then it goes like Mafra, Torrents, Oliverense, and
Mafra is always like 6th.
Yeah.
Never quite good enough for the playoff or promotion. Not bad enough that they're like actually worried about it. It's just like
Last year with
6th.
Diamante, they were in the bottom though, no? Like close
Or
to.
sometimes they like start good and they're
then
like
they
chilling
taper
in
off.
6th for a while and then
Yeah,
they like
and they
almost
start-
get relegated. But,
Pacha Freire sitting in 12th is a little surprising.
Horrible.
yeah,
Tundela
they
as
were
well, for
actually
the
in the
team.
drop, so it got a
Tundela's
little
better.
better.
Them and Tundela, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm hoping
Also,
Yeah,
better
no,
than
that-
climb, hopefully.
I'm hoping
Hopefully
for
they
Blanche
can.
to have a bit of a resurgence.
I always
but-
hope for Benfica B or Porto B to get relegated.
To get relegated.
Yeah.
They never do. They always hang out.
They
like
never.
14
They always
season.
stick around.
Yeah.
I was hoping for Blanche to do the one last promotion from bottom.
They've had a
division
tough
to top,
season.
but they've had
It's
a tough
been
season.
It's been tough for them, and they also got knocked out of the cup this weekend as well.
They did, yeah. So it looks like it's 5 promotion. It looks like they won't get that 6th promotion or whatever it is.
I'm
So
more
long as they
concerned
stay
that like
up,
they
I'm
were
fine.
gonna like maybe go down. So I like
Yeah.
as
If
long
they
as
say, my thought process, if I'm the
they
one
just
running
gotta
the club,
stay up.
if
this
you
season,
stay,
man.
I think just a season where you can stay up is.
They're
seen as a
1 point from
success.
safety. I mean,
I
they
think
got
that
some
this-
work to do.
Yeah, I think if you could just stay up after all those promotions, you take that as a win.
Yeah.
Because this is where the hard promotion is, right? Is from 2 to 3 or from 2 to 1.
Yeah, most definitely. But yeah, on that note, we'll call it there. Make sure you give Richard a follow there. You can follow Danny there as well. And of course, you follow Chris. You can also follow myself. Most importantly, make sure you follow all things Alvalade on all social media platforms, all podcast platforms. Also, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. Like this video as well.
Under 100 from 10K.
Yep.
On Twitter or on X?
Yeah,
whatever
on
shit it's
Twitter
called
X.
these days.
Yeah, so make sure you give us a follow there as well. But yeah, other than that, see you next time. Peace.
See you, boys.
Go Phil.